The man who smiled at you yesterday is already planning today. That's not paranoia. That's not cynicism. That's the world Machiavelli saw 500 years ago, and nothing has changed except the mask people wear while they do it. You were taught that good people win, that kindness is always rewarded, that if you're loyal enough, honest enough, patient enough, the world will eventually be fair to you. Machiavelli looked at that idea and laughed, not because he hated goodness, but because he watched good men get destroyed by their own goodness again and again, while men who understood power quietly took everything. Here is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Most people are not loyal, they are convenient. They stay close to you as long as staying close benefits them. The moment it doesn't, they vanish, and they will tell themselves a story where you were the problem. This isn't a flaw in human nature. This is human nature. And the sooner you stop being shocked by it, the sooner you stop being its victim. Think about the people who have hurt you the most in life. Not strangers, not enemies, the ones closest to you. A friend who used your secrets against you. A partner who smiled while betraying you. A colleague who took credit for your work the moment you looked away. You didn't see it coming because you were judging them by what they said, not by what they wanted. That is the first mistake almost everyone makes. They listen to words. Machiavelli watched actions. He didn't write about power because he loved it. He wrote about power because he understood something most people are too afraid to admit. The world is not run by the honest. It is run by the observant. It is run by those who understand that people act out of fear or self-interest long before they act out of love or principle. Call that dark if you want. But ask yourself this: how many times has someone's love for you evaporated the moment it cost them something? This is where most people break. They mistake this truth for an excuse to become bitter, cold, closed off from the world. That is not the lesson. The lesson is sharper than that. Machiavelli never said stop caring. He said stop being blind. There is a difference between an open heart and an open door. One lets love in. The other lets anyone walk all over you. Now here is where it gets uncomfortable. Because the brutal truth about human nature isn't just about other people. It's about you. You have smiled at someone you didn't respect. You have stayed quiet about something wrong because speaking up would have cost you comfort. You have chosen the safe lie over the risky truth more times than you'd like to admit. This is not a confession meant to shame you. It is meant to wake you up. Because if you can recognize this instinct in yourself, you finally understand why it exists in everyone. Else too, self-interest is not evil. Self-interest is survival. The people who deny having it are usually the most dangerous. Because they've hidden it so well, they've even fooled themselves. Machiavelli's real crime in the eyes of history was refusing to lie about this. He didn't write fairy tales about virtuous kings ruling through goodness alone. He studied real leaders, real betrayals, real collapses, and what he found terrified people, because it stripped away the comfortable illusion that morality alone protects you. It doesn't. Morality without strength is an invitation to be used. Kindness without boundaries is a target painted on your back. Think about every time you've been too nice and paid for it. Think about every time you gave someone the benefit of the doubt and they used that doubt as a weapon. This is not because you were foolish, it's because you were operating on the assumption that everyone else plays fair. They don't. Some do. Most don't when the stakes get high enough. Here's a harder truth still. The people who hurt you rarely see themselves as villains. They see themselves as survivors, doing what they had to do. The friend who betrayed you told themselves it was justified. The partner who cheated convinced themselves you drove them to it. The colleague who stole your idea believes they simply took initiative. Almost nobody wakes up believing they're the bad guy. This is the most dangerous part of human nature. Cruelty rarely announces itself. It disguises itself as necessity. So what do you do with all of this? Do you become cold? Do you trust no one? Do you turn into the very thing you fear? No, that's the trap. Machiavelli's wisdom was never about becoming heartless. It was about becoming clear-eyed. There's a difference between a fool and a fortress. A fool trusts blindly and gets destroyed. A fortress protects what matters while still allowing life in through the right doors. Strength is not the absence of love. Strength is knowing exactly who has earned access to your loyalty and refusing to hand it out for free. Consider this. Weakness invites exploitation. Not because people are inherently evil, but because power abhors a vacuum. If you don't define your boundaries, someone else will define them for you. If you don't protect your value, someone else will extract it. This isn't a suggestion. It's one of the oldest patterns in human history, playing out in your job, your relationships, your family right now. Whether you notice it or not, look at how many people stay silent in toxic situations because they've been taught silence is peace. It isn't. Silence is often surrender. Machiavelli understood that appearing agreeable is not the same as being safe. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is let people believe you'll never push back. Because eventually, someone will test that belief, and if you've spent your whole life avoiding conflict, you won't know how to survive the moment conflict finds you. This is why so many good people get walked over throughout their entire lives. Not because goodness is weak, but because they never paired it with awareness. They never learned to read intentions instead of words. They never learned that trust must be earned in stages, not given away in a single moment of hope. Here's the twist most people never expect. The goal was never to become ruthless. The goal was to become undeceivable. There's a massive difference between a person who manipulates others and a person who simply refuses to be manipulated. One is corrupted by power. The other is protected by wisdom. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching immunity to it. Think about the moments in your life when you got hurt the worst. In almost every case, it wasn't because someone was too powerful for you to stop. It was because you didn't see the pattern until it was too late. You mistook charm for character. You mistook attention for loyalty. You mistook silence for peace. The brutal truth is this. Most pain in human relationships isn't caused by evil people. It's caused by unclear people who you failed to study closely enough before giving them power over your life. So here is the real lesson hidden inside all of this darkness. Stop asking whether people are good or bad. Start asking what they want and what they're willing to do to get it. That single shift in thinking will protect you more than any amount of positive thinking ever could. Because hope is not a strategy. Awareness is. You don't need to become cold to survive this world. You need to become awake. See people clearly. Love them without illusions. Trust them in proportion to what they've proven, not what they've promised. Protect your peace like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. And when someone shows you who they really are, especially when it costs them nothing to hide it, believe them the first time. This is the brutal truth about human nature. Not that everyone is evil, but that almost everyone is self-interested, and pretending otherwise is the most expensive mistake you will ever make. The world doesn't reward the naive, it reveals them. So walk forward with open eyes instead of an open heart alone. Because the people who survive this life, who build real power, real peace, real relationships that last, are not the ones who trusted everyone. They are the ones who finally understood who deserved that trust in the first place. That is not darkness, that is wisdom wearing the face of truth. And once you see it, you can never unsee it again.